Hey, Psych 100 students, we're back with Chapter 8, Memory. Now, I hope you remember to watch these videos. I hope you remember to take notes from the textbook. How good is your memory, right? Check this out. On the contrary, I can't remember a thing from 50 years ago, but I remember exactly what I had for lunch yesterday. Now, it usually works the other way around. One of my brothers has an amazing ability to go back decades and remember fine details, but he probably wouldn't remember what he had for lunch just the other day. How about this one? Stop serving them as soon as they bring up repressed childhood memories, right? Somehow alcohol unleashing those memories that we didn't think we had. Let me see if you remember who this is. Who is this person? What was his name? What state did it occur in? Do you remember those? Sure you do. So what is this tricky thing called memory? Nervous system's capacity to acquire, retain, and later retrieve knowledge. Wow. Acquire, retain, retrieve. That's the tricky part. Memory actually is quite simple in the description of the process. It's about encoding, storage, and retrieval. Encoding, putting in labels, storage, sticking it in the drawer, and then retrieving it, which is the tricky part. We have timed exams on campus. It's amazing how many students know the answers, but because they're so anxious and there's a time frame, that's why I give you at least 24 hours to take my exams remotely. There's just so much pressure. And of course, some of you, because of your schedules or just because of your lifestyle, you wait to the last minute to try to work on those essay tests. And you realize, oh my God, I can't remember any of this stuff. I did watch the videos, sort of. I was watching Netflix at the same time, but so, I try not to take it personally when people say "Brinkley Brink Pedrosa," when it comes to the memory thing, because I know that it can get overwhelming and we have to blame somebody. Computer systems are based on our memory. So, encoding, we type it in. We say the number to ourselves. Storage, you guys remember those floppy disks? We say the number over and over again, we put it in storage. And then retrieval, where did I put it? Where is it? How did I label it? Is it gone? That's why I'm notorious. I have to write stuff down. I write stuff on my phone, I write little sticky notes, I do whatever I can to memorize things because I know, and here's an example. Somebody gave this pen to me in the past, and I think they were probably getting a pen that sort of looked like me, right? By the way, this is ink pen number 662, right? I've already gone through 2 ink pens so far this summer. I don't know how, since a lot of the grading is occurring online, but I am doing some writing and so forth. But for the life of me, I can't remember who. Was it one of my former students? Did I purchase it somewhere? I think it was a former student. So memory is very, very tricky. Some stuff goes into short-term storage, and that can last about 30 seconds. And some goes into working memory. We just bring it up again and again and again. So, and we use it. So I'm going to ask you right now to do a memory test. This is called the Spidey memory test. And what I want you to do, let me straighten out here a little bit. What I want you to do, I want you to get a piece of paper, just any scratch piece of paper real quick, and number it 1 through 4. All right? 1 through 4. Now I'm going to ask you 4 questions, and I want you to answer them to the best of your ability. And no peeking, no cheating. Just write down the answers, and then we'll go over the answers and see how well you did to test your memory. Okay, here's the Spidey memory test. Number 1, what color shirt was your professor wearing in this video? Write that down. Number 2, were there any designs on the shirt that you noticed? If so, what were those designs? What images did you see? Number 3, did you notice if your professor was wearing any jewelry? If so, what type? What kind of jewelry was he wearing? And number 4, was your professor wearing, holding something in his hand at the time of this video? Okay, so if you don't know, take a guess. You can give it the old college try. You can say that now because you're in college. And let's go ahead and finish up and let's answer them collectively. Okay, first question. What color shirt? Well, I'm wearing a black shirt. And design is actually Pink Floyd, Dark Side of Your Mom. Oh, wow, that's pretty deep. If you know about psychoanalysis, and you do, somebody came up with this crazy idea. Play off the band, Pink Floyd. That's 1 and 2. Also give you credit if you put Freud down. Give yourself credit if you put that my shirt was black. Number 3, was I wearing any kind of jewelry? Well, usually lately I haven't been wearing jewelry. I've been doing a lot of yard work. I've been wrestling with my Labrador Shepherd mix. But today I was wearing jewelry, and I made sure I showed my hand. I'm actually wearing my wedding band. Actually, you've seen this ring before. It's from Lord of the Rings. If you remember that, my precious. No, actually, it's not from Lord of the Rings, and that just reminds. I'm glad it's not, because then this person would be all over it, right? Um, this ring actually does have writing on the inside, and it says my nickname, my wife's nickname, and the date we were married, which really comes in handy in case I forget. I can take it off and like, oh my gosh, it's coming up. And I'm wearing the watch. I don't know if you can see it or not. My arm here. The watch I was married in. When I got married, I bought this watch specially. It's a Spider-Man watch. And I've had it since I was married, and I got married in 1997. And I gave all my groomsmen a copy of this watch, and every hour or so, a new image of a villain pops up, right? Was I holding anything in my hand at the time? Yes, I was holding my ink pen. Which number? 662. I had to look myself. How did you do? Did you get all 4 right? Did you get 0? Because you weren't really paying attention? Memory is very, very tricky, I'm telling you. Take a look at this individual. Herman Ebbinghaus. I dig those glasses. Next time you go in for a prescription, demand you get glasses just like that, right? And when Ebbinghaus went to the dentist, the dentist had to ask him, sir, can you help us find your mouth? Because we can't quite locate it. Ebbinghaus came up with an interesting experiment. He believed that it was all about how quickly we forget data. He focused on forgetting, which a lot of us have forgotten a lot of stuff, right? We're constantly reminded, usually by teachers, of all the stuff we didn't remember. And he argued that if you're going to get tested on material, it's better to be tested sooner than later. And that's why one of the reasons I like summer semester, because every time you sneeze, there's an exam. So there's not as much lag time. It's not like 4 weeks and then we take another exam. Our next exam is just next week, right? It's just coming up very, very shortly. So he did an experiment where he gave some words for people to remember. And once they remembered them, he put them away and he gave them an immediate test and he scored 100%. But if he waited just a few minutes, like 20 minutes, the score went down to about a D. And the longer he waited to test them on those memorized words, the worse their memory got. So it's better to be tested sooner than later. Now I want you to put your pens and pencils down. I want you to take your fingers away from the keyboards. I want you to study these words carefully. Don't write them down, just study them. Let me fix it. Study them carefully. Let's see if I get the glare out. Study them carefully. Emblazon them into your soul. Okay, so what I want you to do is freeze this video, write down with your pen or pencil as many of the terms you can remember, as many as you can. Don't worry about the order. Go ahead and write them down. And then I want you to hit play again, and we're going to check your answers. I'll wait for you. Okay, hopefully you're back. Let's go over your answers to the, I don't know how many words you wrote down, but there are actually 16 different words. I don't know what your total is, but how many of you wrote the word sleep? Do you have that on your list? Well, guess what? It's not on the original list. You just produced a false memory. You could probably would have sworn it was on the list because you see a lot of terms that are related. And so then we get into the issue of, what's memory all about? How is it that some of us can remember extreme details? And the question is, how accurate is the information, right? How accurate is the information? Now, when you're studying, especially if you have multiple classes, you have to be careful of retroactive and proactive interference. Proactive indicating a nice skin, product placement. No, proactive meaning it interferes memory. The interference is with the future memory. And retro is interfering with retrieval of past memories. So be careful because, I've always had students who sometimes take sociology and psychology the same semester, and they'll say things like, well, you said this. And I'm like, I said that? You must be referring to my brother, Dr. Campbell. Or, wait a minute, you said this about the library sources. And I said that? I think you must be referring to my other brother, Mr. Luis Pedrosa, who I happen to have a handy picture of he and I some years ago, taken at a local restaurant, right? This happens all the time. Now, some of you are learning that there's all kinds of tricks to retrieving things, and some of you will use mnemonics, especially if you have to memorize a series of terms. Mnemonics is the way to go, and some of you will make up little catchy phrases to remember all the different terms. PEMBLAS, for my math people. You remember what that stands for? That's a mnemonic. Now, in the cartoons, how do we lose our memory? We get bopped in the head, right? How do we regain our memory? We get bopped in the head again, right? Which makes no sense if you recall our chapter on the brain. Why would you cause additional brain damage, right? We want to put another tapping iron through good old Phineas Gage in Vermont to regain his sense of emotional balance. That doesn't make any sense at all. But retrograde and anterograde affects different forms of being able to retrieve your memory. One referring again, you see the term retro, you think right away it's past memories. And anterior, being able to